Hi there, could you do me a favour really quick? Would you pretty please subscribe to the show, leave me a 5-star rating if you like it, and share an episode or two with your bookish friends? Better yet, if you could drop a link to the show or to your favourite episode in your book club or bookish group chat, that works too. I promise it only takes a few seconds, it really helps the show, plus I'll be incredibly grateful for it. So thanks in advance, and now on to the episode. Hello, I'm Victoria from Biblio Lifestyle, and you're listening to the Reader's Couch podcast, the show that will help you bridge the gap between living a full and busy life to one where you're reading, learning new things, and having fun. In today's episode, I'll be talking all about organizing your books and sharing 10 different ways how you can organize your bookshelves. So if you feel overwhelmed by the amount of clutter on your bookshelves, if you can't find books you're looking for, or if you have a lot of books but you feel like you have nothing to read, I think you'll find this episode useful, so stay tuned. So my idea of a good time is spending time with book people. And if you feel the same way, I hope to see you on Thursday, April 27th through to Saturday, April 29th at the Epigraph Literary Festival. It's a free virtual event that's all about books, the joy of reading, and the literary lifestyle. We also have an amazing author lineup, some great speakers, and fun sessions. So visit epigraphlitfest.com to register for this fun virtual festival. That's epigraphlitfest.com to get your free tickets. Plus early birds get first dibs on event swag. So go to epigraphlitfest.com to register, and I hope to see you there. Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Reader's Couch podcast. Today, I'll be talking all about organizing your books and sharing 10 different ways how you can organize your bookshelves. I'll also share the methods I use and talk more about how I organize my own bookshelves. Okay, so before we get into the episode, full disclosure, I'm a bit under the weather today. I'm coughing, my head hurts, I'm stuffy. It's a mess. So if I sound a bit off today, apologies, but I really wanted to get this episode out to you today. So I hope you'll bear with me if I do sound a bit off. But anyway, let's get into the episode because I'm really excited to talk about bookshelf organization. Organizing your bookshelf can help to make not just your space look neat and tidy, but more importantly, it makes it super easy to find the books you want when you need them. So today, I'll be sharing 10 different ways how you can organize your bookshelves. Now, if you need help decluttering your bookshelves, I recommend listening to episode 76, How to Declutter Your Bookshelves and Organize Your Books. I think you'll find that episode incredibly helpful. I was going through a huge book purge when I was recording that episode. So again, if you need help decluttering, if you need to purge some of the books that are on your shelf, episode 76, I think you'll find it helpful. I also think that organizing your books is also a great thing to do when you're in a reading slump, and I talk all about reading slumps in episode 88. So those are just some additional resources that I think you could find incredibly helpful, so consider giving those episodes a listen as well. Okay, so let's talk about bookshelf organization. Now, the first thing folks often ask is, well, why is bookshelf organization so important? Now, I think having a solid system is beneficial for multiple reasons. Of course, top of mind is the fact it makes finding the books you're looking for easier, but more importantly as well, it increases the odds of selecting a book to read. Because if you're anything like me, you want to read something, you don't know what you want to read, read, you go look on your shelves and it can be overwhelming at times. There's just so many different options there. But if you don't have an organization system in place, then it makes even following your mood harder, because I'm a mood reader. So when I want something to read, I'm looking for something that will suit my current mood or that will give me a feeling. So if I'm in, the mood for something thrilling, if I want a thriller, something mysterious and exciting, I need to be able to find those books, or I need to think of an author that comes to mind whose books I have, and I need to be able to go straight there and grab some options. Now, if you're not organized, it just kind of makes that harder. And another benefit is the fact that if you're anything like me too, organizing your shelves just makes everything just more beautiful and pleasing to the eye. And it can lift your spirits, because sometimes, again, when I'm in a funk, I just go straight in that little corner there where my books are, and I'll just lay down sometimes on the floor, on the carpet, and I'll just stare up at the shelves, or I'll just browse my shelves. Sometimes I'll even grab a duster and I'm dusting them, I'm looking at them lovingly. So sometimes it can lift your spirits and it's just pleasing to the eye as well. So needless to say, bookshelf organization is important because it offers us so many benefits. So let's get started. Let's talk about 10 easy ways that you can organize your book collection. Of course, no professional or bookseller or librarian experience is necessary. So let's get to it. Okay, so number one way that you can organize your bookshelf, and I think this is really simple and really easy, is by separating fiction and non-fiction. Now, I think this is a universal method. Booksellers use this. Fiction books are usually found in one section, non-fiction is in another, and then, you can have a mix of things in other places. But I think just having that clear divide of fiction versus non-fiction can be super helpful. Number two, another way you can organize your bookshelf is by author. Now, this works best if you have multiple collected works from authors you love or authors you plan on reading one day, right? Now, you can kick this up a notch by arranging the books by each author in order of publication. I think that can be helpful. So let's say, for example, top of my mind right now is Agatha Christie or Stephen King, right? Two authors with lots of books to their name. So I would recommend that you keep your Stephen King books in one place, keep your Agatha Christie books also in one place. Again, if you want to kick it up a notch, organize them according to publication date. I think that can be helpful. And lucky for you, I have both those authors' book list over on the blog, so you can see their books in order of publication, so you can use that as a guide. So there you go. Organize your books by author and kick it up a notch by organizing them in order of publication. Okay, method 3. Organizing your bookshelf by separating your classics from your contemporary. Now, how you define classics and contemporary, again, is just something entirely personal and unique to each reader. Popular options for defining classics could include books written before a certain date, books published within a specific time, living and deceased authors, writing style, societal standards, and commercial usage. There are just so many different levels and ways, and especially because classics had historically excluded marginalized writers. So the way we define classics can be different and unique for each reader. Also, don't be afraid to include those modern classics with what you'd consider traditional classics as well. So again, this is unique for each reader, but I think it's a great way to organize your books by separating classics from your contemporary books. Okay, number 4, organize your bookshelf according to mood or your emotion. So if a book made you smile or laugh or cry, if a book kept you up into, late into the night, early into the morning, a book you couldn't stop turning the pages, maybe there's a book that opened your eye to something, or a book that changed your life. Those are books you probably want to keep in one space. But yeah, maybe if you're an emotional reader, if you rate them based on how you feel, I think this method could be really helpful for you. Okay, number 5, you can organize your bookshelf by separating your read from unread books. Have a section that's dedicated to the books you haven't read yet, and then have a section of books that you've read and you've loved, and obviously you want to hang on to them. But I think it's a great idea, especially if you have a lot of books that you haven't read yet. So that's a great way for you to kind of work your way through your TBR pile. Number six, you can organize your bookshelf alphabetically. Now, alphabetically works best, I think, if you remember titles and authors better than, let's say, you remember genres or book covers or so on. I actually also think the larger your book collection, the more ideal this method might be for you. So consider to organize your bookshelf alphabetically. Another method, number 7, you could organize your bookshelf by separating hardback and paperback books. Now, this method, I would say, it's a great method if you're looking for a cleaner, more streamlined look on your bookshelves. So if you're looking for something that's aesthetically pleasing, consider organizing your books by separating your hardback and your paperback books. Another way that could be really pleasing to the eye is organizing your bookshelf by color. Now, the color organization strategy is ideal, I feel, if you're a person who remembers the book cover and colors, because some people are visual like that. If you love vibrantly colored bookshelves, if you love things that make a statement, I think organizing by color could be just the method for you. I think it's also a great opportunity if you want to get super creative with your shelves. Then that could be a very helpful method for you. Number 9 is you can organize your bookshelf by genre or subject matter. Now, this can be helpful if you're trying to find books based on genre, subject matter, or your current interest. You could organize your historical fiction books in one section, romance in another, or even memoir. So when you're in a mood for a particular book, you know where to find them. So I think genre and subject matter can be incredibly helpful for you. Okay, so number 10, you can organize your bookshelf by separating your favorite books from books that you maybe didn't like so much, Your favorite books, however, I want to be very clear. These are the books that you absolutely loved. These are books that you can see yourself rereading one day in the future, even if you're not a prolific rereader. This is also a book that you're often recommending to friends. This is a book that you often will revisit just to reread a quote. If someone's discussing something, you want to grab for that book because, again, it's just one of those standout books for you. So instead of kind of just lumping all your books together, separate your favorites from the rest, Put them on display, maybe make them center stage, Treat those books well, obviously, because you love them. So there you go. 10 ways you can organize your bookshelves. Okay, so now that we know the different ways you can organize your bookshelves, let me tell you about my bookshelf organization method. Now, I do separate what I consider classics from my contemporary books. So I think that's the most obvious thing. When someone looks at my bookshelves, classics are in one place, contemporary books are in another. Now, where my classic books are concerned, I do collect book collections and book editions. So let's just say one popular collection I own is the Penguin cloth-bound classics. Now, those are very popular. Now, within my cloth-bounds, I organize them alphabetically because when it comes to those books, I know most of the books that are in that collection. So when I'm looking for them, I need to find them based on author. So I keep all my cloth bounds together. Now, I collect Rebecca. I love Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So I have all my Rebecca books in one space. However, let's just say a Thomas Hardy, for example. I love Hardy. I love Jane Austen. And I don't keep all my Austens together. I also don't keep all my Hardys together because they're parts of larger collections. For example, I have the Penguin cloth-bound Jane Austens. I also have the Canterbury Classic Jane Austens. I also have the Vintage Classic Austens. I have the Wordsworth collection, and so on and so on. I tend to keep my collections together. Then when it comes to my contemporary books, I keep them based on genre. So I keep my historical fiction books in one place, romance in one place, thrillers in one place, and so on. If I have an author who has multiple books, so for example, I'll have a romance author who's popular right now, Rachel Lynn Solomon. I have all her books in one place. Alexandria Bellefleur, again, romance, all her books in one place. Historical fiction, same thing with those authors. I tend to keep them together and in one place. Thrillers, and so on and so on. So again, they are just like multiple different organization methods I have going on. And then for my favorites, I do keep my favorites separate. And that section on the shelf might be organized by color, depending on my mood, you know? So it's fair to say I have multiple methods going on. But rest assured, if I want a book, I know exactly the general area I need to go to find it. And odds are I'll be out of there in 5 minutes. So if I'm looking for a classic, I go to that corner. If I'm looking for a cloth bound, I go to that shelf. You know, that kind of thing. So it's really helpful. I also separate read from unread. So I always know the books that I haven't read yet. I have the books that are on my immediate TBR close by and easily accessible, and the books I'll get to at some point in my life, they're on the shelf somewhere. So needless to say, these are just some of the ways that work for me. So I highly recommend just selecting a method that works for you and that will make it easier for you to find your books. So readers, I hope you found today's episode informative and helpful. And if it's been a while since you've organized your bookshelves, I hope you'll consider trying some of these tips and ideas I've shared with you today. Now, on the other hand, if organizing or reorganizing your bookshelves is not on your agenda right now, I hope you'll consider sharing this episode as a resource if you have a bookish friend who might find this episode helpful. So as always, thanks for being here, thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Reader's Couch podcast. Please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Until next time, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks again for listening, and happy reading.